And welcome back to the Nose Plays Endless Space 2. This will be part 2 of the new series that I started a couple days ago. And I will be streaming a little bit more of the game that we started using the United Empire. However, until I begin, we're going to wait just a few minutes to see if anybody joins the stream. And there will be a timestamp in the comments section of the video if you want to skip straight to the gameplay. I'll be back with you shortly. Okay, looks like everything's working. I'm going to go ahead and load a game. And we'll get right into where we left off last time. So, the other day, I got back on and started up a live stream using YouTube service instead of Twitch. I was using Twitch for a while earlier this year, and then it kind of stopped working for me. So, I recently got YouTube's streaming service to work, and it seemed to work pretty well. So I'm going to try it again tonight and see how it goes. If anybody drops in, please say hi in the chat. I can read your messages. They do pop up on the screen as well. And we can interact a little bit. But last time, a couple people jumped in chat while I was doing some mic tests and asked me to play some Endless Space. So we started off a game with the United Empire. There was a request to play a very war-centered game, and so we went ahead and started the Sheridan path of warmongers. We also ended up in a very difficult starting situation. We did start with both strategic resources in our home system, but we didn't get great planets. We got a Terran and a jungle. Jungle's okay, but then we got a desert and a lava, which are less good. And then I made some bad decisions, not so much bad decisions, just unlucky decisions in the directions that I sent my fleets. And we ended up in this very interesting nook of a constellation that seems to be quite large. And didn't get a very good start. I don't even think we got our settle down till after turn 10, which was over here. We picked up a minor faction here, and then we started our second settlement here, which should be completing in 2 turns. So in the end, we're going to have 4 systems in a relatively well-defended region before turn 40, which is better than I suspected we might do. We've also spent a little bit of time making friends with the pirates, using our dust to support them and some hacking operations. And we have come in contact with 2 other factions, the Sophons and Horatio, both of which we currently have a higher rating than. That doesn't necessarily mean much. That can change very quickly at this point in the game. But they are very likely on this constellation or very near it. And if you look carefully right here, it looks like this is the edge of a Horatio system. So we're very likely going to be sending pirate raids on Horatio and then cleaning him up with our own fleets in the very near future. So I'm going to play another, I don't know, 30 or so turns tonight and see where we end up. I don't exactly remember what all was going on other than what I just recapped here, but it looks like we have some hacking operations going on. Let's take a look at that real quick. Okay, so it looks like we're hacking the pirates again, probably to increase support. What else are we doing? It looks like there's a message here. Not sure why that message is there. There's nothing to do here. We want to keep this law running for 2 more turns. We did manage to get the scientists in power, which gave us the Dirty Hands Act, which I love. And we're looking to win 5 battles with our ships in the near future as part of a quest. I don't know what else is going on this turn that we need to really be concerned about, so I think I'm going to go ahead and end the turn and see what happens here. I think that was a turn where I'd largely wrapped up everything we were doing before I saved the game. The first episode of this series is on my YouTube channel. I'll retitle it here soon. I just put it down as The Nose Returns for now, but if you want to see the beginning of this playthrough, go back and watch that one. The Academy quest will end in 5 turns. I'm not very interested in dealing with the Academy at the moment. I don't know a lot about this mechanic. The few times that I've interacted with it, it didn't go very well for me. In other words, I put lots of resources in, or at least what I considered lots of resources into the Academy quest, and ended up not even remotely getting close to earning anything. Okay, so a couple things just happened. There's a Sofun scout that we came across earlier that managed to escape when we attacked it. Also, some Horatio ships have entered our space that we're going to have to deal with here in a moment. And it looks like the militarists are gaining popularity in the next election, which makes sense because we have gotten in a few fights and we're building more ships and doing a lot of military quests. So they're likely to get in power soon. Luxury resources have increased in price. Not really that important for us. We've completed another escort ship.
Your actions will only make the war more painful.
And this is the diplomatic message that we got from the Sofuns for attacking their ship last turn, I'm assuming. So, the Sofuns can be problematic in a military battle. Their ships tend to be pretty powerful. They can be pretty powerful. And so they can be difficult to deal with. Horatio, on the other hand, does not tend to have very powerful fleets in the early game. And so we should be able to deal with him quite easily. We are going to go ahead and attack his ships that just entered our space. We'll take a look at what he's got. So it looks like he's picked up a minor faction. A positron ship. Looks like it's rocking laser weaponry and shields, and laser weaponry on his revealer. Our ships are mainly using guns and missiles. We're actually going to get the most out of running power to shields. This is going to effectively use our missiles as well as boost our shields, which their weapons are entirely energy. So we'll go ahead and take a look at this fight and see how it plays out. But I would expect this to go much better than the last fight that we watched when I started at medium range. We did win that fight using our missiles against a similarly equipped ship, but we should win this one even more handily. In fact, it's very likely that they retreat. So we'll see what happens here. Yeah, and they did retreat. We'll see. Looks like they retreated down this lane. It should be very easy for us to intercept them and finish them off.
Horatio doubts your motives and your ethics.
So he's insisting that we
also
stop.
deplore your lack of refinement.
We're going to go ahead and refuse because we are going to fully intend to destroy his ships. One thing I don't know, well, I guess I just answered my own question, is whether or not that battle counts as a win for us, and it did. This ticker went from 0 to 1. So that's good. Our ship arrived over here. We'll go ahead and put it into defense mode. And it looks like we've got another one. Go ahead and get all these ships sent over here.
Your offensiveness.
Okay.
Your offensive.
So he's increasing his military presence on his planets, preparing for an invasion, which is probably smart. And you can see we've got a nice stockpile of strategics, so despite the fact that our dust is severely negative at the moment, I'm not very concerned about our situation financially, because we do have access to the marketplace. We are bringing in luxuries and strategics at a pretty decent rate, and we can sell those for any dust that we do end up needing in the short term. In the long term, I did go ahead and put commercial frameworks up, which is trading companies. It may be a little early to be doing that, but we're going to go ahead and do it anyways and see if we can get trading companies going quickly. I'm not sure how good our trading companies are going to be until we can get to the other side of this constellation. The systems in this particular region were not very enticing. These ones aren't terrible. There's a fair number of luxury resources over here, but not the greatest system in the world. Alright, so we've colonized another system. It is a steppes planet with binary moons. So that's not bad. We're going to want to get these up relatively quickly and then followed by those, and we definitely want to go ahead and grab that right away. We have plenty of influence now, so we can start buying out some of the things that are relatively cheap if we want to. I'm considering buying both of these out, but let's see if there's something better that we can do with our dust.
You have offended the most perfect. As her
We'll demand that he removes his
your
ships,
offensiveness drives Horatio.
and he has agreed. We now are getting a bonus to influence because we have the most colonies in this particular constellation, which is good. And we've got spin projects going on over here. I mentioned in the last game that spin projects is an incredibly valuable tech that you should get as early as possible in many games, because it does allow you to truly accelerate not only your influence gathering, which gives you a lot of diplomatic resources, but with the Empire in particular, you get the buyouts that you can use for both science and industry. And then it also increases your influence bubbles for most factions. So if you get it early, your influence bubbles by the mid to late game will be significantly larger if you've got spin projects up and running at an earlier enough point in time. The fact that we are so negative on dust has a lot to do with our military presence greatly increasing, and so we're going to have to find some buildings to help offset that. One way to offset that is to make sure that we are running as high in happiness as possible, which we are, so that's good. Public-private partnerships is a pretty good building to get up, but we're going to want to get some dust tech here pretty quickly. In fact, we may have to put commercial frameworks on hold and go with a cheaper, faster solution to that problem. We're going to go ahead and destroy his ships. One of them disappeared. Hey, how's it going, Bob? We'll just let this run. Get the cinematic experience. Once again, I should have switched to long range for this fight, but it's not going to matter much. We are properly outfitted to deal with this ship. That was rather quick. As expected. Alright. So, as I was saying earlier, Bob, I think we did an exceptional job with the poor start that we kind of had at the beginning. We did end up with 4 systems before turn 40, which is better than I thought we might end up doing at first. We're definitely not going to get the 5th one up before the turn 40, but we're not doing terrible. And if we can get this one, this system, this little region here is going to be pretty easy for us to defend, I hope. We'll have to see what the wormholes look like once we get that technology unlocked and how that impacts what other constellations we're connected to. We did manage to, in the last turn, get this buff, which is perfect for us. This is probably the most ideal thing about our start, is we're getting an extra 15% influence per turn now, and that investment in spin projects is really going to start hopefully paying some dividends. One thing that I was considering doing is buying out some of these early starting buildings, which I think I'm going to do just to get this system off the ground a little faster. And then this system had some buildings already from the minor factions, but they weren't very helpful. So we could probably do the same thing here. Get those 2 out of the way. I just noticed that our dust is really negative, and it has a lot to do with our ships that we've just created, this fleet that we're putting together. And so getting these dust buildings, these early dust buildings out, is going to be important to keeping our dust in a reasonable situation. Running negative isn't that big a deal with the marketplace unlocked, but I think we're going to go ahead and start building this, and then we'll see what we want to do after that. I am going to try to run commercial frameworks as long as possible here, but if it does get to the point where we're having trouble with our economy, we may have to switch this out for something a little faster. We'll see how these buildings help. That did use up a lot of our influence, but we're getting 161. And we don't need to run this law any longer, so we can abolish that law. All of our systems are in a pretty good place approval-wise, so we don't really need to run any kind of an approval-based law. So really all we have access to is Toys for Boys, which I'm not excited about, or Cram for Exam. Yeah, and that's why we're rushing trade companies as early as we can. So I'm not concerned about it. As long as you pick up the marketplace and you're expanding to systems that have luxury resources on them, you can solve your negative income pretty easily just by selling luxury resources. And one other thing that I did point out is we have huge caches of both Hyperium and Titanium. In the early game, these sell for a huge amount of money, and so we can be sitting on several thousand dust right now if we wanted to, but I don't think there's any reason to do that. In fact, I think I'm going to leave this law slot empty for the time being and just soak up as much influence as we can. We did destroy that ship. There is still a ship floating around here, the Sophan ship. I think for now we're going to bring this fleet back over here, and we're going to merge these guys together, and this should reduce the military costs, I believe. I know it does in Endless Legend. I'm not quite as clear on whether it does in this game. I can't quite recall. I am going to send a probe out, and then we're going to just send... We've got these probes. We might as well be using it. We're just going to send these probes out into the space that we haven't uncovered yet, just to see if there's anything there. Sometimes there's systems floating around in the middle of nowhere. And we'll see what happens with that. Anything else that I want to do this turn? I do want to get Takim. We're going to have to research Barren or Ice Worlds in order to get this system. Barren's probably our best bet because of the 2 positive anomalies here. Let's take a look at... That would be this tech right here, I believe. Is that one that really helps us? Not particularly. We already have the 2 from this tier that unlock the 3rd tier. But getting that system is kind of important to me. This building can be pretty good in some circumstances, but it's really expensive to build. It takes over 3,000 industry to get it down, which is one reason why I don't usually get it built. The one faction that I do think benefits from this the most is the Umbral Choir. I think we're going to go ahead and add that to the queue. I don't know that we're going to get it done second, but we'll see. We've already won 2 of the 5 battles we need. We're going to start heading over here with our fleet at some point. Okay. What do you know? Sometimes it pays to scout places that you wouldn't expect things to be. So a huge steppes planet and a large ice planet. We could get onto the steppes world. It does have a very nice positive anomaly. Anything with industry is nice. And then Eden Incense, which is also really good, and a couple of curiosities. Alright, so lots of things are getting done. We've got our last escort ship. I'm going to get this guy over here. If I can click on him properly. There we go. And look who decided to show up in our territory once again. We're going to merge these guys and then murder this poor Sofun. Let's take a peek. He is using bullet weapons. Bullet weapons are very effective against missiles, but they're also very ineffective at long range, and we have so many missiles that I have a feeling our missiles are going to overwhelm his meager defenses. So we're going to go ahead and go with power to shields to use the long range of our missiles and see what happens. We'll go ahead and watch this fight as well. He's likely to retreat just like that. Alright, so he's heading this direction. If I get this ship onto this node and then just hold it, he won't be able to retreat again, and we'll be able to finish him off. Now I've got a decision to make. I've got my patrol ships here. I can take one of these patrol ships and send it over here, or I can send the whole fleet over there to get some XP. I think we're going to send the entire fleet. I don't have the tech to get there yet. I thought we researched that. Must have been a different game. So the tech we need to get over there is going to be this guy. And that's going to give us Savannah worlds, warp drives, and advanced scanners for more curiosities. We may hold off on that. I have other plans that I want to use my ships for. And so the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to grab both my patrol ships. There we go. We're going to create them into a fleet. And while we're friendly with the pirates, I'm going to head over here and I'm going to do some scouting of the rest of this constellation. And I think that's it for this turn. Everybody's building important things. Alright, empty construction over here. We do not, at the moment, have access to Savannah worlds, but we could colonize this, which does give us a little bit in terms of more industry and more science because of public-private partnerships and xeno-industrial infrastructure. Even if we don't put our population pips over here, we still get those benefits, which makes those buildings incredibly powerful in very large systems with lots of planets. So we'll go ahead and get that research done. This research isn't worth very much until this system is pretty full, and even then it's a pretty meager amount of industry since we don't have currently any strategic resources here. We are getting to the point where we're going to have to either start researching things much more quickly to keep building, or we're going to have to research one of the techs that lets us roll our industry into science or dust so that we don't have systems just sitting idle doing nothing useful.
Your offensiveness drives Horatio to anger and distraction.
Okay. I didn't attack your fleet, so I'm not sure where that's coming from, but we're going to go ahead
Your offensive
and do that. Finish moving our ships. Merge these guys together. Okay. So he's got a fleet over here, and he's got some upgraded ships. These are not scouts, these are military class ships. So let's take a look at what he's using. So he has switched to bullet weapons and energy defenses. And then he also has a similarly equipped tool. So he's kind of adapted his ships to defend our missiles. We can answer that by getting different kinds of missiles or switching to laser weapons. We don't have a ton of dust, and I will wait probably one more turn. That ship should be right here. It's probably just hidden off of our vision, the Sophan ship. But I'll wait another turn or two before we do that. Those upgrades aren't going to be critical until this fleet is inbound. Now there is a concern here that he may attack our patrol ships. If he does, we'll probably retreat and see what happens. He is currently attacking the pirates, so he may leave us alone, although that's unlikely considering we've harassed him significantly. So we'll see what happens. Okay. So we can go ahead and finish this guy off. He did attack us. Let's do this one first, because this will be easy. Easy peasy. These are bullet weapons. We'll go turtle. I'm not going to watch this. It's going to be a slaughter. We'll move this ship in with the rest of our fleet. finish the rest of our turn and then we'll go back to that battle. So over here we're ecstatic, but we're getting close to falling out. And we're running out of good things to build. We're only 3 turns off of commercial frameworks, so I'm going to find a small building. It's going to take just a couple turns to build, and we'll go ahead and get that going. We have another hack. We are going to falsify logs again. This might be the time to eavesdrop. I think we'll just falsify logs. That should keep us,
I know we can agree on a prize.
above the cordial mark. Capture or assimilate a new population. We somehow have done that.
Your actions will only make the war more painful.
We're going to refuse. And now we get to deal with this fight.
Your actions
Yep.
will...
Okay, so we don't have enough firepower on these patrol ships to really fight this. We are going to retreat. The question is, can I get these guys to retreat down one of these lanes? And the answer is probably I don't get to choose. So we'll just go ahead and retreat. Okay, it is going to send us down one of the unknown lanes. That's good. And then we'll see what happens. They've got a 4th ship here now. What did they pick up? Positrons. This is one of those cheap, crappy ships. They probably got it from a minor faction. Alright, so our fleet of 4 versus their fleet of 4. I think we win. We do have the 10% buff to damage that we picked up as part of our quest line for becoming the Sheridan. We do want to switch out our regular missiles for different weapons because those missiles are going to be very ineffective against bullet weapons. But again, I'm not worried about that until we see them start moving in this direction. This actually plays in our favor because now we get to uncover the rest of this territory with our patrol ships, which is what I wanted to do with them anyways. If they get destroyed, it's not the end of the world. And we have another hacking operation. I'm actually tempted to save my hacking operation. No, what I'm going to do with my hacking operation is we're going to hack to here. Not sure if we're going to be able to achieve this. There's a good chance that these guys will catch us. Wait a second, wait a second. Did we put a back door on here? We did not yet. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here. And this time I'm going to try to put a back door on Werix. And then we're going to use the back door to kind of leapfrog over and start hacking the Horatio system here. Alright, we've got a election. We do have some options here if we wanted to pressure our citizens into a particular political system, but I think what we're going to do is just throw our support behind the scientists. I'd like to keep their law in place. The militarists are almost certainly going to win the election, and it's going to be a toss-up between the industrialists, the scientists, and the pacifists who get the second slot. So let's see what happens here. Okay. The industrials kept the slot, so we're going to lose our science law, unfortunately. But the good news is, both of our heroes are part of the Senate, so that has some positive effects for us. And we do get some laws unlocked that are going to benefit us here shortly.
The roles have been determined. That is all.
Alright, so these are all unknown empires that got the Academy quest, which is good for us. I was a little concerned that the Spear of Isander could go to the Sophons or Horatio, but they did not. So I'm not too worried about them using that against us. Political ideologies have shifted, more Imperials, and new laws on the books. We'll have to see if we want to enact any of these laws. Spoils of war is actually pretty good if we're fighting a lot, which we probably will be. And then lower fleet costs can be helpful, but we're not going to be building another fleet for a little while. Commercial frameworks in 2 turns. I could buy it out at this point.
You have offended the most perfect.
We're not going to ask him to halt his attacks because we would not halt ours for him. Okay, so I was correct. This is a constellation with 3 factions currently on it. That could be problematic, especially if they team up against us, but we'll see. Is there anything else I want to do this turn? I guess what we'll do is we'll go ahead and edit these ship designs. That's fine. This is the ship design we want to edit. And what we're going to do is we're not going to get rid of missiles, but we are going to swap them for swarm missiles. Swarm missiles are much more effective against bullet weapons, but they're about as effective as laser weapons at long and medium range. So they're very decent at long range and very good at medium range, and semi-effective against missile weapons. I don't really have any other options on this ship right now until we get the upgraded design. So we'll go ahead and apply that. Patrol ships are also going to swap those out. And if we ever get a chance to upgrade them, they'll be more effective against this type of fleet. Let's just take a peek at what the cost is for this. So the cost of this is 107 dust. I'm going to wait. No, actually, I'm going to go ahead and do this. His ship still has the missiles, and I'm going to leave these missiles because these are pretty effective when combined with swarm missiles, as the swarm missiles help prevent the flak's defenses from taking these out. So we'll leave him alone for now. If those missiles get through, they're pretty effective. Okay, so that puts us in a very bad spot financially in the short term, but we're going to solve that problem right now by going to the marketplace. And we don't need this, so we can sell all of that for now, and that'll put us back to positive for a couple of turns. I'm going to continue to hang on to my titanium and hyperium for the time being. And then the question is, are we ready to rush commercial frameworks? Well, there were a couple of things we needed. We needed this technology and we needed this technology. Mediterranean wasn't high on the list. But we did need Savannah for one of our systems. We also need the ability to travel here. I think this one is the Barren. And then this one had a Savannah planet, yeah. Okay. Did this one have a Savannah? No, but it had a Barren and 2 Toxic. And a Snow, which we can actually get now. So let's throw that in the queue. Did this one have any? These are Ice and Barren. Okay. I'm tempted to go ahead and buy this out. We're not going to be able to utilize it right away because I am currently building the embassy in the location that I would like to build the first trade center. But we are getting 200, so yeah, let's go ahead and buy it out. We're getting over 200 influence per turn now.
I am listening.
Anything that I need to... Just information there, huh?
Oh, I'm sure we have what you...
Okay. We are going to need some dust to buy a pirate mark here very soon. Alright. So, we've found a Sophan world. It looks like the Sophans are grabbing military tech. I'm not super concerned about that. We are going to scout some probes here. Okay. A second world. Let's throw this one out that way. And there's a lot of curiosities over here that we're going to go grab. I know some people are of the mind that it doesn't make sense to grab curiosities that are going to help other players, but I kind of take the other opinion. I think you should always grab curiosities when they're available for several reasons. Number one, the XP is usually valuable, although it's more valuable when you have a hero on your fleet. Number two, you almost always get a cache of some value, and something rather than nothing is generally better, even if it does help the other player. And then the third thing is, if you do uncover strategics or things that are beneficial to them, it does tend to feed into the marketplace, which can have positive impact on you. So you can't buy stuff from other players on the marketplace that you might want to buy if they don't have it uncovered. And so it actually accelerates, in my opinion, the rate at which the marketplace gets resources that you can then, start using. And then finally, a lot of times you can get negative anomalies which actually hurt the other player. So it's not as clear cut as it might be. One thing that I did just notice is that they've already got technology for tanks, and they've split their defenses with infantry and tanks already. So that's quite curious. They have quite a few tanks on this world. Neither one of these are their home world. So they have at least 3 systems at this point, which is a little bit concerning. This is a minor faction. We might be able to grab them, but at this point it's unlikely. So we'll have to see what happens here. Anything else I need to do this turn? We did buy out the trade company. How many turns is it going to take to get that up and running? 7? I suppose it's worth getting that before anything else. could move people over here to get dust up and running a little bit better, but we're going to just continue to work on that for now. We can now merge this fleet together. And it looks like the pirates survived and pushed the Horatio player off. So that's interesting. Next turn we're going to get some more information on Horatio. I think that probe might just get over here, but we'll see. It might take 2 turns. Alright, we'll go ahead and end this turn. The Haroshans. They've already been contacted by the Sophons, so it's unlikely we're going to be able to outrace them. But we can go ahead and give a little bit. Let's try to get above 50% and see if maybe we can get the quest before they do. That is a possibility. Let's go ahead and grab these curiosities that the Sophons have so generously left for us. Alright, so we got an amoeba population. That's good for us. We got nodes revealed. That's good for us. We got basic plasmoid shielding. That's good for us. And we got a positive anomaly for them, which actually is good for us because we're going to take their system eventually anyways, and an influence node load. So, pretty much all good for us, despite the fact that all of these are in their territory. We did get the ability to colonize barren worlds, so I know what we're going to be doing with one of our systems. Looks like it could be this one. Probably going to be grabbing a settler here. Let me just double check. Where is that? That is not the one I was thinking it is. So that was Botha. Okay. I think what I'm going to build in Botha is the big data shipyards, and then we're going to start building military fleets here. This does not have a ton of industry, as I recall. A fair amount. Botha is actually a pretty decent world. So we'll build this for now, and then it'll be ready to start building fleets when we get into a little bit more aggressive stance here. We have unlocked a population bonus, just increasing the industrialist effect. So it's going to be very difficult for us to lose the industrialists as one of our major political parties, which is fine. Industrialists are pretty good. More population. This is a good quest for us. So we have 2 choices here. We get 1 random science, which is actually pretty good, or we could increase dust and influence by 10% for 10 turns, or science and approval for 10 turns. I don't think approval is something we're lacking. We're not as high as we were. That largely has to do with the colony bonus wearing off. So you get a big bonus for colonizing new worlds, but it's a very short-term bonus. It's similar in some ways to the Golden Age, but it's just an approval bonus, and it doesn't last nearly as long. So we have fallen. This is a big part of why we're losing so much dust. We have fallen out of happy and devoted. So we need to get that fixed. But we do have all those approval buildings that we can get down here pretty quickly and start working on. I think I'm going to go for this. 10% extra influence per turn is not nothing. That's going to be another 200 or so influence. And then the dust will help curb this value a little bit. So we'll go ahead and pick that one for now. Pretty sure I already... Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with that. These are just all the things we did earlier. Okay. And then... Where do we want to travel with this guy? I guess just head this direction, maybe? We just want to get as much scouting on our constellation as possible. I am going to be finishing... Yeah, we're going to be finishing this here pretty soon. 2 turns. Okay, so this is the system over here that I was considering building a settler with next. And then we're going to send that settler down to Takim and grab this system. And then we'll probably grab Lisul as well, but it's less valuable to me because it can't really be part of a trade network. So I may or may not grab this system. We'll see. But I do want to get Takim just so that we have the entire back end of the constellation pretty much snagged up. Baryonic shielding is coming online soon. Trade companies are coming online as quickly as we can get them. I don't think there's much else to do. Resource crisis. We do need to do that. So we're going to have to sell some more luxuries. I do want to save some of this, but we're making 4 a turn. Go ahead and sell that. Can sell like 17 of these. That'll give us enough for 1 more turn. We are going to have to start selling our strategics, but that's fine. That was going to be inevitable. Okay, we now have sight of a Horatio world, which is good. We can see that Isander has a ship over here. He's looking for a place to settle. Horatio has a revealer over here, but the rest of his fleets are missing. Alright. So... can we rush this? Not yet. What can I do? I guess the question is, do we want to send our military fleet as is? Or do we want to build a couple more ships for it? I currently have 7 command points. We're about to get baryonic shielding. I could go ahead and grab one of the medium class ships. And we could take a medium class ship over there. These have 3 command points. Yeah, let's do that. going to take a few turns, but I think it makes more sense to have medium class ships if we're going to do an offensive war with these guys. What I am going to do starting next turn is we're probably going to either build back doors and start harassing them through back doors, or we're going to start sending pirate fleets over there. I think pirate fleets are the way to go to start with. Resource crisis again. Yes, we are aware. How quickly we forget. So 4. So 1. Those aren't worth anything. Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to sell some of these. So strategics, let's sell 32 of those and 81 of those. And you can see our dust is now settled for the foreseeable future with plenty in reserves if we need them. Anything else that I need to do right this second? It does not appear to be the case. Okay. End turn. It actually looks like somebody was harassing them. Okay. I can create the back door here, but I think what I really want to do is eavesdrop, which will reduce pirate diplomacy costs. Okay, before I do that, let's check the pirates.
I know we can agree on a prize.
So support for a pirate is 320 and mark is 534. If we eavesdrop,
They
ah,
always come back.
that worked out well for us. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and buy a pirate mark.
Always love a dishonest day's work.
And I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit more support there.
Don't you worry.
And then we're going to place our pirate mark here. And I'm actually going to go ahead and
They always come back.
give them as much support as I can. I want their fleet to be strong enough to actually do something. So that's going to help them out. We did uncover the Sophan's homeworld. Let's finish our move here. And we've got 4 probes, so let's send 1 that way, that way, that way, and just so we can see if there's anything out there, we'll go out that way. Okay, solo quest. We can get a random technology. We would need 3 heroes to accomplish this quest, or reach 60 approval on those 3 systems. The 60 approval is much easier for us to achieve. We could do that in a single turn. So I think we're going to go ahead and go with this. This may have consequences. I can't remember if this quest actually triggers negative consequences if the spies stick around. This is black market, sorry, not spies. There's one that involves spies as well. The writing for this is pretty interesting, but it's a lot of reading, and I don't tend to read these things out loud more than once. So what would be nice is if a lot of this did have voice work done for it, because then it would be something you could actually listen to. But maybe I'm just lazy like that. We're going to go ahead and let them stay. And we'll get this done pretty quickly. Both the Imex and Varen. I'm going to go ahead and pin that quest up here. And we're going to take a look here. Both the Imex and Varen are already above 60% approval. So that should complete automatically in one turn. I don't understand that, but we'll see what happens. Is there anything else we want to do? I think we want to focus on war with Horatio first, even though we can't see most of his system. He is going to be the easier of the two targets to take out. Can we buy this out yet? We can buy this out next turn, it looks like. So we'll get the trade company done here pretty soon. This will be finished in one turn. I think we're approaching turn 50 in a pretty reasonable state. Alright, let's go ahead and attack to there. And let's get an accelerator on that system. Can't afford a second one. But I can take this off of here for now, which allows me to encrypt here as well, just so we have a little bit more defense if we do get traced. And if I can get here with a backdoor, we can start backdooring hacks to both players, which will be quite fun. We'll see if this gets any good activity here. It'll be fun if the pirates take that system away from them. This ship can now travel between star lanes, I believe. Or maybe that's next turn. Next turn, we can travel between star lanes. So we'll just go down this star lane and finish uncovering the rest of the Sofan space here. Alright, baryonic shielding is completed. New deed is available. We've got our settler finished over here. And we now have access to this, which we can grab. I'm going to keep these guys over here because I believe... I guess they're just +5 food always. So... putting these guys in systems that do not have a lot of food can be really beneficial. What we might end up doing is actually transporting all of this population to those barren worlds that we want to colonize, because they'll be able to populate those barren worlds a lot easier. Get this colonized, and we do have a subterranean curiosity which we can go ahead and grab. In fact, we'll put that in front. Pirate mission report. Mandated fleets have been destroyed. You received nothing from the attack. Well, that's unfortunate. Alright, that did get completed in a single turn, and we got... Okay. So we got some new science buildings, as well as the ability to colonize arid. I don't believe we had any arid worlds, but we might come across them eventually. Civilian ship destroyed. Horatio has destroyed a civilian fleet around Graphius. You lost one amoeba population. That was the amoeba population we found in the Curiosity over there by the Sophids. Let's take a look at where that was. Graphius. So they do still have a fleet over here harassing the pirates. I think we should consider pushing them off. My only concern is that I don't know how many of them are over there. So maybe I go ahead and build a patrol ship real quick so we have some probes. The other option is retrofit my hero to have probes instead of the accelerator. That would be the faster option. Alright, let's do that. And let's head over this way. Can we... Yeah, he doesn't have any probes yet. So we'll move over there. This colony ship is ready to be utilized. And... anything else I want to do right now? We were considering buying this out, which I think we should do. Once this is bought out, we'll need to get the second one put in place. I have not decided which system is going to get that yet, but I think it might be Varen or IMEX. It's probably going to be Varen for the first one. I'm afraid if I do IMEX that it's going to draw the trade route this direction instead of this direction, which would severely limit the potential of that trade route. Varen has a better potential because it has two well-established neighboring systems and it has a lot of luxury resources. In fact, we need to get on to this planet in order to get access to these. So that's going to require researching snow. We'll see what we can do here. Okay. Antimatter, that's good. I was hoping that that would be one of the tier 2 strategics. So we have one of the tier 2 strategics uncovered. We'll need to find the other one here shortly. I should have my probes. Yes, I do. Let's send the probe. And we'll get vision of this before we head over there. We want to go ahead and run our new colony law. grab this one. We'll pay the dust for the bonus. And should I pay for the bonus food as well? I think the answer is yes. And then we're going to make sure that that food is coming from IMEX, because that's going to be the closest source of food, which it is. IMEX may lose some population, but they should get it back relatively quickly because of the amoeba. These guys have been completely assimilated, so that was kind of a waste of influence. But we kind of figured that would happen. We also lost our 15% to the Sophans, because with that they have gained their 5th system. So we count 1, 2, 3, 4. They must have at least 1 or 2 more systems over here, which is more than we currently have. So that's unfortunate. We're going to have to deal with that. One thing that we could do...
I'm sure we have what you need.
We could buy another pirate mark and put it on the Sophon system this time. These guys are not going to have a new fleet for 10 turns. So another pirate mark right now might not be worth much if they don't have any pirate fleets to send over there. This is curious. So we're going to take the shortcut here, but it looks like this is all part of the same constellation, but it's not connected on this end. Okay. Alright, so we are working on applied cryogenics, which is going to give us the medium-sized ships that we wanted. Unfortunately, there's not a lot else we could do over here. I guess there are some basic buildings we could get down. But neither one of them look very exciting. This is only worth 5 approval. This is worth more. The mining isn't super valuable, although 1 titanium per turn is probably worth more than the 8 dust upkeep. It's not super exciting. Maybe what we do is start a new fleet. I know that's going to put a strain on our dust, but we are going to need more ships, and we do have the manpower to fill them at the moment, so this will also give us a backup fleet if this first fleet we send out does happen to have problems. They're not happy that we flew into their space. Understandable. We're not quite there yet. We can see their other system over here though. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They may have 6 by now, which is... Let's take a look at their score. So their score isn't that much higher than ours, so that makes me think they're literally at 5. One thing I could be running is... We could be running Toys for Boys. It will slow down the rate at which we're getting some of this stuff done. We could also be running lower fleet costs since we are building fleets right now. Spoils of war, we're not fighting yet. I think I'm going to go ahead and activate this. We have plenty of influence to get it done. And then over here, we're going to go ahead and bump this up in the queue. I'm going to buy that out since it's almost completed anyways. It'll give us a little bit more science. Okay, so now we have sight. Their fleet is still here. And they are slightly damaged. And we are appropriately equipped to deal with them. So, let's get it on. Next turn we may actually enact spoils of war. Even if it's just for a turn.
You have offended the most perfect.
Yeah, we're not going to worry
As
about that.
Horatio.
Okay. So we've got trade company going down. More population. This hero has gained another level. We've got industry that we could throw down. This one is really good. Plus 50 per trading company on Empire. And then just a bunch of influence. I really like that ability a lot. Extra science. More manpower if you're a political leader. That can actually be really helpful. More approval. I think I'm going to go with the influence. The influence is, there's a lot of influence generation in that system. And he's enhancing it even more. An unknown empire has completed one of the wonders. Not surprising. It is close to turn 50 at this point. Alright, they're going to attack us. I didn't get a chance to put spoils of war before they attacked us, and I don't know if I do it now if it'll count. I'm going to go ahead and try it. Even though this fight was initiated before. And as I pointed out, our missiles are much better at long range than their bullet weapons are. But I do want to go ahead and watch this fight just to see how it plays out. We also potentially have the ability to run a second... Nope. Not with this many ships. We need more ships. So, we'll see how this goes. It should be entertaining to say the least. And we're going to go to the overview camera. Camera, zoom in slightly. Let's see here. There we go. This is the view I want. Alright, so here comes all those swarm missiles. A lot of them are going to get chewed up by the flak defenses, but you can see a fair number of them still made it through. We should be able to take out a couple of their ships before we get to medium range, where the fight becomes a little bit more fair. You can see they're doing a little bit of damage to my ships at this range, but since they're mostly using bullet weapons, they're not going to be very effective until we close to medium range. Unfortunately, their flak defenses are doing much better than I anticipated against our swarm missiles. But there we go. One of them's down. Two of them should be down now. And the rest should fall quite quickly. And we'll see if we get the Spoils of War bonus here. Whoop. Alright. That is the end of the Horatio fleet that's harassing our pirate friends. So we took about 60% health on one of our escorts. We did get the bonuses. Resources gained, a bunch of dust, and some experience. So it looks like that was worth it. Good to know that you can apply that as late as we did and still get the benefit. So what do we got now for hostile treaty cost, peaceful treaty cost, plus refill rate? That might be worth grabbing. I don't see any other ship related. Shield absorption, not really worth it. Yeah. Let's go ahead and grab this. It'll reduce the cost. He's going to be in our military or our political leader for a long time. Alright. So then the question is, what do we do with this ship? Well, one thing we can do is get some more intel that direction and that direction. Now, if I can defend these guys because I'm not hostile to them, so this doesn't actually negatively affect their system like it would in some cases. I'm not sure that I want to move into Horatio space just yet. Maintain at least 3 militarist laws for 10 turns for a reward of 50 titanium. Well, we've got 2 running. It's going to be a little more difficult to run 3 of them at the same time. We do have 3 of them that we can run, though, because we can run the lower fleet cost. Ooh, and we now have new laser weapons, which are... I think these are really, really good, particularly for the point in time in which you achieve them. The thing that makes them exceptionally good is their very high crit chance. So we might be switching our weapons to lasers here very soon. One thing that I did want to consider doing is we're going to buy this trade subsidy out as soon as we can with influence. We're making 230 a turn right now, so it shouldn't take too long for that to happen. And we finally made it into Sophan territory where we can grab all of these. Steal some Eden incense. And some more Eden incense. And some Red Sang. I think we might have a use for Red Sang, to be honest. I thought... It is one of our boosters. It is not one of our boosters that I can activate without using the marketplace. This is something that I should have been considering much earlier when we first got the marketplace. So we need 7. I have 5, right? So we need 7 of those. Have they sold any? Oh yeah. Kind of expensive, but I think it's going to be worth it because if you keep an eye on our influence here, we should get a doubling of that bonus. And so this should go up by a fair margin. It didn't go up by a ton. Like 15. I guess that makes sense. We have 12 Imperials, so it basically went up by 12. It's 120 extra influence over 10 turns. I don't know if it was worth the 700 dust, but... an objective. Rename the IMAX system for 100, or give up 10 Hyperium to search the curiosity in Gross 3. Where's it's going to be in here. So it'll be on this system. Let's go ahead and give up the Hyperium. Influence. What else did we get? We got the rescue event, so 20 additional science, 20% additional science for 10 turns. Spawns a Vindiani ship in the Grus system. I believe this just becomes our ship. It's not worth a lot to us. What could we do with this ship? Honestly, not much. I think what we probably do with this ship is sell it. It's worth 43 dust and 100. Yeah, let's just sell it. And I think we're going to split these ships up and cover more ground. I'll send one this way and one that way.
Your actions will only make the war more painful.
We're going to refuse.
Your actions will only make the war more painful.
They're going to close borders on us very soon, I have a feeling. Alright, where are we at with some of this stuff down here? These things are getting done. Applied cryogenics is coming up fast. We've got a second fleet started. I think we're in a pretty good spot. This is almost done. At which point, maybe we do grab Lasul. This is a good event for us. Looks like we got a new hero coming up. Let's take care of this stuff first. So we went ahead and colonized this. Now we're getting the Eden incense from it. Once we do the research, we can start collecting antimatter, which will be very beneficial to us. Out of curiosity, do we want to switch? I don't think we do. We want to leave this as is for now. We are going to want to start moving population over here soon. So what do we want to build over here? Anything? It's only worth 5. Yeah, there's not a lot to build over here, is there? Maybe we go ahead and grab the other settler. I guess we'll just grab the approval for now. It's not going to help us a ton, but as populations grow, we're going to need more approval to deal with the negative approval that some of these other worlds have. Alright, hero time. We already have an industrialist. We already have a militarist. We don't have a scientist. So that could be worth taking. He is a guardian and a scientist. Guardians tend to make pretty decent fleet commanders. He is also a guardian. But she's kind of cool looking. Tough decision. I don't know what the scavenger class is. I think we're going to grab this guy just in case the scientists ever get in political power again. We'll have a hero that benefits from that. And we'll put him in charge of our new fleet that we are raising at the moment. Okay, what do we got here? I like this one a lot. This will probably provide less dust than this in the immediate future, but it could potentially provide more. More importantly, I don't want my food being converted to dust because that slows down our growth on our systems and we're trying to grow. So we're going to go with that. We found dark glitter. We found these guys. Try to get this up to there, but it's again probably not going to matter. And he has 1 point that he can put into something, health on fleet or XP per turn. We wouldn't go with the XP per turn. He doesn't benefit from it, but the fleet that I'm about to build and put him on will. And for the short term, maybe we just put him as a governor of this. It's going to take 9 turns to get all these done. That's about 8 turns worth of XP before he can lead that fleet anywhere anyways. So he'll just get some XP for getting those fleets built. Alright. This ship can go this way. Ooh, there's a good chance we get attacked when we head over here. We're 1 turn away from getting that completed. At this point, need to get spin projects down over here. And we can build the Intergalactic Technology Center. Do we want to do that? We definitely have 26 turns. We do not have the industry to get something like that done in a reasonable amount of time. No, instead I think... Man, that's 17 turns for that. We are running out of stuff to do here. Alright. We're definitely going to have to improve our science somewhere. We don't have any planets with anomalies. This is not very much science. Probably not worth grabbing. I guess we'll build the settler here. I was thinking of building it over here, but no, we needed the settler anyways. So that gives us the 3 turns. then applied cryogenics allows us to start building our big ships. And that'll give him something to do while we research some of these other important things. I don't need that up there for now. In fact, do I have any quests that I really care about? Probably this one is one that I need to be reminded about later. We're not going to do it right now. Not until we get these 2 colonies down. I don't really want to be too aggressive with this fleet. But I do want to keep an eye on whatever's going on over here. So we're just going to keep sending our probes. We'll regenerate a probe every turn on his ship. So we can just send a probe down a lane pretty much every turn. And then these guys can just continue to scout. And I think that is a good enough place to wrap up this video. So not quite 2 hours tonight, but a good bit of time. We're at turn 50, and again, I think we're in a reasonable place to actually achieve some goals. The primary goal was to become a warmongering faction, which we are on the verge of doing right as we're hitting the mid game. So basically anything under 60 turns I tend to call the early game. It really depends on how fast you play, but a lot of these games will end somewhere between turn 150 and 250. So 50 is still pretty early in the game. And we're definitely in a position to still win the game. I don't think we're in any kind of a stressful situation where we're not going to have a chance to win. It will really depend on how these wars with Horatio and the Sophons go, but if we're able to take over all of this territory, this constellation will be incredibly powerful for us because of the 15% influence bonus, which is going to allow us to just snowball buying out all kinds of crazy stuff. And yeah, it's going to be great. So we'll probably pick this one up again. I'm open to streaming some other content. If you guys are interested, please leave comments in the comment section of this video when it goes up on YouTube as to what you'd like to see me stream in the evenings. But for the foreseeable future, in the evenings, on the days that I work in particular, I'll be trying to do 1 to 2 hours of streaming because I enjoy it and it's a way to relax after work for me. So with that being said, this has been The Nose Plays, and I hope you guys have a great evening.